It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show. It's the Andy Snowden Radio Show.
Jingle my bells, baby. Jingle my bells, please. Jingle my bells, baby. Jingle my bells, please.
You're listening to the Andy Snowden Radio Show. If you don't like Christmas, then you ain't no friend of mine.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. 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 I'm going downtown tonight.
What's going on?
Well, what a terrific bit of work, man. That's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I mean, it's possibly the best Christmas story ever.
It's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I think this and It's a Wonderful Life,
Yeah.
for me, are like, they're about the things that Christmas should be about, you know, like redemption and generosity and goodwill and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
It is quite an uplifting story, really.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It's nice to see someone it's nice to see someone who you feel like is lost and somehow you win them back. You know, through all those valuable lessons, yeah.
So, I mean, the way that it's produced, it's like no other thing you've ever... I mean, that I've seen ever, actually.
I think it's an interesting experience for the audience because you feel, from the very beginning, you feel part of it. You feel part of the population of the play, and therefore you're probably more invested in the things that happen in it, and you want the main character to be saved because you feel like you live in his town, you live in his village, you owe him money, you know.
That's exactly it, isn't it? And it's brilliant that they've set it in mould.
Sure.
I mean, we're
recognisable,
completely involved straight away. But I love the whole sort of promenade thing about that.
Yeah.
Is that a difficult thing to get involved with? It seems to be. I mean, most of it is scripted, but a lot of it is improvised as well, right?
Yeah. There's some things which are fixed, and then there are things where it's completely different every night, depending on what response you get from the audience, depending on how up for it the audience are, depending on how young the audience are. Yeah. We had one performance last week, one of our previews, where we had about 90 children and 10 adults. Right. And so it was chaos, in a good way. And then in some ways, I think the performance we had on the Sunday was kind of lots of families, so there were grandparents and parents, and so slightly more reserved and needed a bit more encouragement to get involved in the games and stuff. Yeah. But you just, I guess there are moments where you kind of know that's fixed, and there are moments where you have to go, right, what's going to happen tonight? Yeah. And let's see how we get out the other end. Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to be surprised a few more times on our journey to the end of the performance, but there's always going to be interesting responses, especially from the children.
Probably seen about 10 different versions of this story in film, but your story seems to be very child-friendly in a story that can be quite heavy in parts.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was important for this to be a family show. I think for Theatr Clwyd, I think they wanted to make it a show where children didn't feel alienated by the story and were able to get involved in it, but also that there was some humour in it that the adults would get. Yeah. And I think also, there are some scary moments in it. I think with, the Ghost of Christmas feature, that's quite a scary moment. But kids like being scared, as long as it's safe, as long as there's I think if we'd scared them in the first space that you saw in, that would have been a different experience. But because they're scared in a position where they're sat like a normal theatre and they're next to their parents and they can hold their hands, that they feel safe. So I think it's a good all-round family show that people of various ages can get something out of.
Yeah. Well, it's great to speak to you, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.